Actually, I want to have you guys listen to Adam. I'm going to call him real fast because you guys need to hear how terrible he sounds right now. Hold on.
Yo.
What's up, dude?
What up?
I was telling the listeners how you sound like a little old lady who's been smoking cigarettes for the last 50 years of her life.
I sound like that girl. Remember growing up, there was that lady that would talk to her neck about smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, with through the hole in her neck. Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. I'm Dax Holt. I am rolling solo today. Adam is out. We were talking this morning. He literally sounds like a little old lady who's been smoking cigarettes for 100 years. He's sick. He got like laryngitis and sounds terrible. So you are dealing with just me today. Today is our weekly Raw Rundown where we get into all the big stories of the week, get you caught up before heading into the weekend so you know exactly what happened in entertainment news this week. If this is the first time you're joining, don't get used to just hearing my voice. Adam will be back next week, I'm sure. We had a pretty crazy week with the Brooke Mueller story. I don't know if you guys saw. So obviously we had Brooke on our Wednesday episode. This was the first interview that she has done in 15 years, which was crazy because we didn't even know that going into it. We just kind of had connected with her and said, we'd love to have you on. And she said, of course. And as we were about to start recording with her, come to find out, she's like, oh yeah, I haven't sat down in, I don't know, since my kids were born. So let's see, they're 15 now, 15 years. I'm like, what? We just got a massive exclusive and I didn't even know it going into it. But she was great. Love the interview. If you haven't had a second to listen, go back and listen to the Wednesday episode. It got picked up everywhere. I saw Us Weekly did it. People Magazine did a couple articles. Daily Mail, In Touch, TooFab, The Blast. I mean, literally, it was one of those weeks where everywhere I turned, every website I went on to was covering our interview with Brooke Mueller. So that was pretty cool. She was just way more candid than I think I expected and didn't know what I was going to get with her. And she really just put it all out on there in the line. I think a lot of the comments that were coming back in from the interview, people just said, wow, like she looks great. She sounds great. Happy to hear people like the comeback story. I mean, she didn't hide away from, she's had a very troubled past. She's gone to rehab dozens and dozens of times. She spent almost $1 million on rehab over the years. Or no, I'm sorry. She said she spent millions on rehab over, her lifetime, and just really interesting story that she has, and that she has a really good relationship with Charlie Sheen and Denise Richards. And anyway, great interview. Very happy with all the coverage this week. I mean, listen, when you have a podcast and the world takes notice, that's what you love. And so every time we get all these big press hits, it's just fun. It's fun to see our names in the headlines. It's fun to see everyone talking about our stuff and colleagues reaching out and saying, great job on that interview. Great job locking down a huge story like that, because you get so used to it when you're working at TMZ for a long time that everything you did was huge news and everywhere. And now that we have our podcast, it's fun to see ourselves still in the headlines. So anyway, we are going to get into, we as in me, and you guys are going to get into the Raw Rundown now. Like I said, we're finding all the big stories of the week. A lot of it comes from the Google searches, what's trending, how hot the story has become, what people are talking about, what we're seeing on social media, and just what the data is telling us. So that is what's compiling our top 10 list for each week. Let me get into reading a review real fast for us. All right. This one, it comes from CDL96. It is a 5-star review. It says, the absolute best podcast. It says, I love this podcast. Dax and Adam have become two of my new best friends. They have the best guests that bring great celebrity stories. I love the Raw Rundown every Friday. I wish there was a new episode every day. I love these guys. Best podcast ever, from Sonia L. in Orlando, Florida. Hell yeah. Thank you, Sonia. That's the funny part when you do a podcast or just kind of anything, even TV, and like when people feel like they really know you and you've never really met them. I think it's such a cool feeling. Like people come up to me on the street and be like, oh my God, like I feel like I know you, but I know that we've never met. So it's really fun to actually get to meet you in person. And I have that with other people as well, where I've watched them for so long or listened to them for so long that I also feel like I know them. So I love that I can do that for some of you guys out there. Actually, I want to have you guys listen to Adam. I'm going to call him real fast because you guys need to hear how terrible he sounds right now. Hold on.
Yo.
What's up, dude?
What up?
I was telling the listeners how you sound like a little old lady who's been smoking cigarettes for the last 50 years of her life.
I sound like that girl. Remember growing up, there was that lady that would talk to her neck about smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, through the hole in her neck?
Yeah, I sound like that infomercial.
You actually, though, sound better today than you sounded yesterday, which is a good thing.
I'm trying to talk as little as possible. I probably have been drinking nonstop tea, peeing like a monster, taking tons of cough drops. A Tesla truck is driving by me, but I'm like, and it's like the craziest time. It's like the worst timing too, because now it's like the start of Fashion Week. So it's like I need to do these interviews. However, like they're gonna come off terrible. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I sound like, you know what I sound like, Dax? I sound like Robert Kennedy Jr.
You do have a very similar sound right now. Well, I won't keep you for long. Yesterday, it actually sounded painful to listen to you. Like, I had a hard time listening to you talk. So I was like, there's no way the audience is going to be able to listen to this for an entire hour. So
it would be too much of a distraction. And the separate is right now, I'm waiting outside a hotel in New York City. I'm not even waiting outside. I was literally just going to get some more tea. And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of paparazzi waiting outside this hotel because I guess Katy Perry's about to come out. So
nice.
I'm like, So I'll drink some tea and watch paparazzi get Katy Perry. Why not?
Why not is right. All right. Well, feel better, buddy. I got this. I'm going to hold down the fort while you're out.
Thank you. Hold down the fort. I'll see you.
Bye. All right. There you go. Adam Glyn sounding like crap. All right. Let's jump into the top 10 stories of the week, starting with number 10. Keith Urban has a really interesting way of complimenting someone else, but he complimented Miley Cyrus, and a lot of people are kind of turning their heads going, what? So he was doing an interview this week with an Australian podcast called Fitz and Whippy and Katie Ritchie, I guess is the name of the podcast. And the convo then turned into Miley Cyrus, and he said, I love her voice, man. That voice sounds like an ashtray. And he goes, I mean that in a total compliment, but that he loves her voice. And I mean, he's not wrong. She does have a very, very raspy voice. It is a voice that stands out. You know, when you hear Miley's voice, it is her. But she does have a strange raspiness to her voice that is kind of soothing sometimes. But he also went on, I guess he talked a little bit about Taylor in the past and how much he loved her album, The Tortured Poets Department. He went on to compliment Ariana Grande. He's very complimentary towards a lot of like the high profile women in music. And it just was a funny way to compliment her because most people, I don't know, ashtrays are dirty. They're gross. So why you would say someone's voice sounds like one, I don't know how it's a compliment, but I understand it if that makes sense. Anyway, so he's been getting a lot of flack online. People are like, no, she doesn't. I mean, she kind of does. But either way, I think he's probably going to stand by it. And knowing Miley, I would think that she'd be like, cool, that's totally rock and roll. I get it. So I don't think Miley would be offended in any regards to this, even though the fans may be jumping in to have her back. So anyway, number 9, Elle Macpherson admitting that she refused to have chemotherapy after a breast cancer diagnosis. And this has a lot of people talking right now because there's a lot of people on both sides of the spectrum. You've got people that are like, yes, go holistic. Let your body do the work and help get rid of cancer. Other people are going, man, if you have breast cancer, that is such, it's one cancer that is easy to, to come back with, to go into remission. You go through chemo, you can remove your breast tissue, you can do all these things. It's an easy one to survive. Why would you even risk it? But basically, she was diagnosed with breast cancer 7 years ago. She says she is now in remission despite refusing chemotherapy. She was obviously rose to fame back in the 80s. And so she published this memoir, Elle, Life Lessons and Learning to Trust Yourself. And she says that she took a holistic approach to the illness, going against the advice of 32 doctors. And so she did an interview this week with Australian Women's Weekly, and she discussed her choices and undergoing a lumpectomy 7 years ago and being diagnosed with HER2 positive estrogen receptive, I can't say all this, endometrial carcinoma, which is a type of breast cancer. She said that all these doctors advised her to undergo a mastectomy with radiation, chemo, hormone therapy, reconstruction of the breast. But at the time, she just said, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm going against conventional medicine. And she said that she ended up kind of getting out of town. She went to Arizona for 8 months, where she was holistically treated for her cancer under the guidance of her primary doctor, a doctor of neuropathy, holistic. She also had a holistic dentist, a chiropractor, 2 therapists, and she said that it worked for her. Listen, take that as it is. I know there's a lot of people always searching. You're going through cancer, and they then are looking for that answer. I would say, do what feels right to you. You can't ever tell anyone what to do with their body, but if it was my wife, I would be very nervous to go totally holistic, just because I know that there is so much going on out there that I would want the way that I've seen so many women survive out there, and that is, doing it more with modern medicine. But listen, who's to say what to do for anyone? Anyway, so it is nice, though, that she is speaking about it, because I know that brings a lot of faith and encouragement to other people out there. So anyway, that is number 9. Number 8, a little more health news. Elton John revealing that he is actually partially blind after a severe eye infection. So he shared this health update basically on social media, that he had acknowledged that he's been grappling with an eye infection that has impacted his vision. He said that over the summer he was dealing with a severe eye infection that has unfortunately left him with only limited vision in one eye. He said, I'm healing, but I am extremely low. It's an extremely slow process, and it will take some time before sight returns to the impacted eye. Listen, he's had a lot of health issues over the last couple of years. I mean, he's older. He's 77. I remember he slipped at his villa in France a little while back, had to visit a local hospital as a precaution, was able to recover at home, was in good health. And that was a little while back. And then if you remember, he was seen in a wheelchair back in 2022, and everyone was freaking out, like, why is he in a wheelchair? Everyone, the tabloids really picked up on that. And this was right in the middle of his farewell Yellowbrook road tour. But he said, listen, he goes, it's not that big of a deal. I was on stage for 2.5 hours. I arrived at the airport just before curfew to find out the airport had closed. He said it was an extremely long walk to get to the plane. So my team got me a wheelchair so my hip could rest for the show. That's it. And I guess he had hip surgery because he fell in 2021, had a procedure, and it postponed some of his tour dates. But other than that, he's doing pretty good. He had a bout with COVID-19 in 2022. So nothing weird there, but poor guy, that sucks. Just getting old sucks. It's funny because now, as you get older, you start talking with your friends. It's not about, hey, what are we doing this weekend? Let's go clubbing. You're like, oh, what ailments are you dealing with this week? I literally feel like an old man because I used to make fun of my great aunt who would always be talking about the weather and illnesses and this and that. And I am that person. Like, I'm talking about how this weekend it's supposed to be 107 here in California, and it's going to postpone the soccer games that my son's in. And I'm talking about my hernia that I got in my stomach to my friends at the gym because I'm trying to get back. And I'm like, the hell's going on? I didn't think I would be a 77-year-old and a 40-year-old body, but here we are, guys. Here we are. So I'm sure some people can relate to that. All right. Number 7, Katy Perry opening up and addressing working with Dr. Luke and also talking about her sex life with Orlando Bloom. She was on the Call Her Daddy podcast this week, and she talked about a lot of stuff. Number 1, people are giving her a really hard time for working with Dr. Luke. If you know all the drama that Dr. Luke has had with Kesha, she has basically alleged that she was drugged and sexually assaulted and wanted out of her recording agreement with him, and they ended up reaching an agreement last June before it all went to trial. But it has been a very well-documented case. Kesha has written songs about Dr. Luke. She has basically just said he is the worst person ever. And so to have Katy Perry then go and on her new album, which is all about woman empowerment and all this stuff, women's strength, and people are like, what the hell are you doing working with Dr. Luke then? And this was her response, and because obviously it was brought up on the podcast. She said, look, I understand that working with Dr. Luke started a lot of conversations, and he was one of many collaborators that I collaborated with. But the reality is it comes from me. The truth is I wrote these songs from my experience of my whole life going through the metamorphosis, and he was one of the people to help facilitate that. One of the writers, one of the producers. I'm speaking from my own experience. She collaborated with him on I Kissed a Girl, California Girls, Teenage Dream. And so now she's worked with him a lot in the past. And clearly she's never had the experience that Kesha has had. That's why she's still wanting to work with him. But it is interesting how the world will pick up on something like this. And someone that you may have a friendship with, the world is like, nope. You can't have a friend. You can't have a relationship. You can't have a friendship with them anymore. They've done something to someone else, or they pissed someone else off. So you must stop working with them. She went on to say that when I speak about women's world, I speak about the feeling so empowered now. As a mother, as a woman giving birth, creating life, creating another set of organs, a brain, a heart. I created a whole ass heart, and I did it, and I'm still doing it. I'm still a matriarch, and I'm feeling really grounded in that. And that's where I'm speaking from. So I created all of this with several different collaborators, people that I've collaborated with from the past, from the Teenage Dream era, all of it. So she is definitely not apologizing for working with Dr. Luke. She looks at him as a friend and a collaborator, and you are not going to make her feel bad for using someone. I don't know how that relationship, if she even has a relationship with Kesha, I don't know. But I do feel like, listen, we can all have mutual connections, and I not like the friend that you have, and it is what it is. But that wasn't where the story ended. Katy got into her sex life with Orlando Bloom, basically talking about giving him oral sex because he does the dishes. So good for you, Orlando Bloom. She said that they kind of figured out their love language. They did a lot of therapy together and realized that like acts of service was a big deal. And so she said, help around the house, like share the load, help the load be lighter. She says the load can be so heavy for women. There's so many invisible things that we do, and it's literally about sharing the load. She said that so once they discovered that their love languages were acts of service, she's like, so if I come downstairs and the kitchen is clean and you've done it all and you've done the dishes and you've closed the pantry doors and you better be ready to get your dick sucked. She basically said, I mean, literally, that is my love language. I don't need a red Ferrari. She said, I can buy my own red Ferrari. Just do the effing dishes and I will suck your D. It's that easy. So it sounds like her and Orlando have a very healthy relationship. And if I were him, I would do a lot of dishes. So anyway, just a very open conversation with Katy on the Call Her Daddy podcast, which, listen, sometimes it's TMI, but sometimes it's fun to hear, other people's inside stories. So, and she did that. She did it well. All right, let's move on to what are we on? We are on number 6. Daniel Craig opening up about filming a very explicit gay scene in his new movie Queer. So he was at he might actually be in the Oscar race after doing this movie. But on Tuesday, he brought his new film Queer to the 2024 Venice Film Festival. And they had to, they get there and they're all sitting and answering questions from reporters. And this is a new movie that is directed by Luca Guadagnino. I don't know how to say his name. Guadagnino, who did Call Me by Your Name. And so this movie takes place in Mexico City. It stars Craig as an American expat, William Lee, and he encounters this other guy who's a young student new to the city, shows him for the first time that it might finally be possible to establish an intimate connection with somebody. That is basically the plot of the movie. But apparently there is a very, very explicit scene with these two guys. It has everyone talking. It got like a 9-minute standing ovation at the film festival with a lot of people basically covering their mouths saying, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in a mainstream movie. And basically, they talked about, like, we're talking more explicit than the scenes in Brokeback Mountain and in Call Me by Your Name is what it's being described as. And so they said, look, that, we've never seen this in a movie before, but it's more about seeing happiness on display. And he said Daniel said, look, there's nothing intimate about filming a sex scene on a movie set. There's a room full of people watching you. We just wanted to make it as touching and as real and natural as we possibly could. He said that he talked about his co-star, who is wonderful, fantastic, beautiful actor to work with. And we kind of had a laugh. We tried to make fun of it. He said he recalled doing rehearsing a dance choreography with the actor months before the filming started, and noted dancing with someone is a really great icebreaker before you do, a sex scene. But listen, I think for a long time, Daniel Craig has been that James Bond character or Knives Out character. He's been seen as one thing, and by him taking a role that is so it's like a 180 twist from the James Bond character that is like the most manly man having sex with women everywhere around the world. Like, this is the basically complete opposite. I think he wants to be taken more serious as an actor, and I think that's why he got out of the James Bond franchise. He was a great James Bond character, but those characters don't get nominated for Oscars. Those characters don't get these deep roles. And I think by him doing this, he is saying to the world, look at me different. Hollywood, look at me different. I want to get one of those little gold statues sitting on my mantle is basically what it comes down to. At least that's how I perceived it. We'll see. A lot of people at the Venice Film Festival said this is going to be that role that gets him nominated for a Best Actor at the Academy Awards. So and normally when the film festivals happen, these are the movies that start getting nominated, which is funny because if I would have bet if he was actually gay in real life, people wouldn't be talking about this. People wouldn't be talking about him going up for an Oscar. It's because he's playing a role, which is kind of crazy and weird that it's not just about the role. It's about a straight man playing a gay role. And I'm telling you, that's going to get him a lot of hype, which is just weird and ironic all in the same, because what does it matter if it's a good role, but the nomination will, I'm sure, come because he's a straight man playing this role. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We are on number 5, halfway through the rundown. We talked about this last Friday. It was our number 1 story last Friday. I think it was number 1 story about Artem from Dancing with the Stars getting arrested for domestic violence. We said we would fill you in this week. And so we're here. We got some new information. I can tell you that Nikki Bella, his wife, was seen out this week without her wedding ring. And she was hosting a hot dog eating contest in Las Vegas. And she did not have, and it was for Netflix. She did not have on her wedding ring, which is, I feel like, a big bit of evidence that she is putting out there. She, if something didn't happen between them, why would she show up without her wedding ring? I think that is, She asked for privacy, and everything's pointing towards a domestic dispute between the two of them, even though no one has released her name as being the victim. TMZ did a story this week saying that she is on the hunt for a divorce lawyer and that she's been making calls since last week with the intention to end her marriage to Artem. And so this is like right after he allegedly, we are assuming, attacked her, resulting in some physical injury that triggered an arrest and a felony domestic violence. And then obviously shows up without the wedding ring to this Netflix event. But anyway, he was arrested on Thursday for felony corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant. So that's the part where we're like, okay, well, she lives with him. The paramedics were requested for medical assistance for the alleged victim. The radio dispatch confirmed that he called for and then canceled the visit, but cops still showed up at the house anyway. They observed injuries on the victim's body and then arrested him for the felony. He was released on bail after the arrest. So sad situation to see their love story end like this. Everyone kind of fell in love with them because they were on Dancing with the Stars. They were partnered up. Then they started this relationship. They have a child together. So it looks like it, whatever happened last week, it is not good for any of them. So sorry to hear that. All right. So that is your Artem and Bella update. Moving on to number 4. All right, guys. Did anyone see the Rachael Ray video this week? She posted on social media, and it's basically she does these things which is like a 30-minute meals, and she does Instagram videos. While she made this meal, it was in honor of Tony Bennett, whose favorite dish was osasbuco. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's basically a succulent braised veal shanks with creamy polenta and bread, which I'm not fancy enough to know about any of that stuff. But she was doing this Instagram video, and everyone's like, she doesn't look like herself. She's slurring her words. She's got I don't know how to say it, almost like a crooked smile. Like her one side of her lip is kind of lower than the other. And so a lot of people are like, is she okay? I'm really concerned about her. I'm reading some of the comments on the video, but one said, I love you, but are you okay? I'm seriously concerned. Another person chimed in with, I'm not sure what's going on with her, but she doesn't look well. I hope she's okay. And another person said she doesn't look good or sound good. So I don't know if there's something more going on. Other people were quick to jump in to her defense and say, no, stop being so rude. She's aging like the rest of us. What a tough crowd. The criticism on this post of celebrities, they're also human beings. Leave her alone. I would say she doesn't look like herself. That's how I would describe this video. It doesn't look like Rachael Ray. I hope that everything's okay. I hope that... sometimes even with my melanoma, when I had my mole that on my shoulder that when I saw it every day, it didn't look abnormal. But when someone saw me, and actually my brother-in-law was the one that spotted it, he saw the mole and was like, hey, something's up. Check that out. And I'm like, well, I've been looking at it every day and I don't see a difference. Sometimes when you're around it all the time, you don't see the difference. Maybe there's something going on that she needs to go have checked out. And I haven't seen her in a while. So, sometimes it just creeps up on you. So if there is something medically going on, I hope this would be a wake-up call for her to go and get checked and see what's going on, because you don't want a medical crisis because you didn't get something checked out. So hope she's all good. It looked very different in this video than I've seen her in the past. All right. Moving on to number 3, Jax Taylor. All smiles. He showed up for the first time at an appearance at his bar and admitted that he has bipolar disorder and admitted this diagnosis this week. But he basically is now back out of the mental health treatment that he has been seeking for the last couple months. He made an appearance at his bar. He basically posted on Tuesday, hey, I'm going to be out. Come join me. We're going to do a watch party there. And he said, a little over a month ago, I checked into an immersive inpatient treatment facility, scared of the unknown and what I would find out about myself. After many years of knowing something was wrong, but not knowing exactly what it was, I recently learned that I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and PTSD. He went on to say, it's been a lot to process, an emotional time for me. However, I have come home to my son with a newfound sense of peace. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared for the future, but my focus is just trying to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. Mental health is a lifelong battle, and not letting it control you, but rather letting you learning to control it. And then I know that, obviously this is on the tail of his estranged wife, Brittany, filing for divorce late last month, and she's seeking primary legal and physical custody of their 3-year-old son, Cruz. But it seems like, neither one of them are going to be talking too much more. I know that Brittany said on her podcast, she said, I can't speak about all the details of everything since it's been heavily documented on the show that we've been filming right now. So basically, stick around and watch our show and make the ratings go through the roof if you want to find out what's happening, because that helps them out more than anything else is watching their show. But I get it. It's your reality folks. If the show does well, you do well. So you save the drama, you save the details for the show, which is interesting because that what I would say is the normal thing. But when it comes to the Kardashians, that stuff, it doesn't work like that. All the stories get aired out there. Everything makes news. And then when the show airs, you see them go through that moment and you still watch. You're like, oh, I want to see the moment when he's telling Brittany about his bipolar disorder. You want to see about the breakdown of the relationship. So even though it got covered in the press, it still is a moment that you want to watch go down and see how they responded to it. So, and I think that's been half the real success of the Kardashians, is because stories go out and they've also been filming it at the same time. So you get to see it play out in real life. Anyway. All right. So that is the latest on Jax. Let's move on to number 2. God, I love this story this week. It is like the ultimate diva off. So Anna Wintour versus Naomi Campbell this week at a fashion event. Both of them brought their claws out, and it was awesome because Anna Wintour was super annoyed that Naomi Campbell was late to this fashion awards event, and the supermodel hit back in her speech. So Anna basically got up to the podium. She was supposed to present this award to Naomi, and she said, listen, she said, let me find the exact quote. I'm a very punctual person, and I have the honor of presenting tonight to someone who is often late. And at that time, Naomi wasn't even there, and everyone started laughing because Naomi has a history of being very late to everything. She is a diva. She rolls in to parties with sunglasses on. She just doesn't care. It's her MO. And she was late to this event per normal. And so anyway, there was a second introduction from the Harper's Bazaar editor-in-chief, Samara Nasir. And she went up there to give the actual award to Naomi. And so Naomi got up there and she goes, look, it was so important that I'm here today, and I'm honored to be here in Harlem. Everything's going to work out the way it's going to work out. It wasn't my choice to have the other woman, obviously referring to Anna Wintour. She said, I'd much rather have this one. And everyone in the crowd just gasped, oh shit, did she really just diss Anna Wintour? That's kind of the big no-no in the fashion world, is you don't go after Anna Wintour. Even if you don't like her, she controls the fashion world and all of that. But Naomi Campbell is like, listen, I'm Naomi Campbell. I don't give a shit. I am one of the biggest, most famous supermodels in the entire world. I don't need Anna Wintour anymore. I can talk shit on her. She went on to say, look, I've always been unapologetically truthful. But they shared jabs, but then later in her speech, she went on to praise Anna Wintour for supporting her career when she was super young. She goes, listen, we must still say thanks to Anna she did take the time to come here to give me an award, even though I wasn't here at the time. So thank you, Anna, for supporting my career from 1987, meeting a young Black girl from South London in British Vogue offices and taking a chance and giving me a shot. And thank you for your influence and your continuing support and pushing fashion forward also. So even though they exchanged some jabs, she very much respects Anna and the legacy and everything that Anna has done for Naomi Campbell's career and legacy and all of that. But I just love the two of them dissing each other very publicly. It's so great. I'm into petty shit like this, guys. I love it. All right, let's move on to the biggest story of the week. Number one, the story that has been taking over the headlines, that's been getting fans going crazy. It is all over Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and this alleged PR relationship that they have going, and basically some documents that were talked about this week on Reddit saying that it was supposed to be proving that their whole relationship was one big sham. Well, listen, I would say a lot of those fans can breathe a sigh of relief, because this contract that was supposed to be revealing the exact day of their split was denounced as fake. So there was this paperwork that showed up on Reddit. Someone had taken a picture as if they had just come across this amazing PR contract that was saying that their breakup would be an exact date. And then it broke down exactly how the press release would go out, with them saying that this is a natural evolution in a relationship, that, they need to grow individually, and that thus proving what a lot of people have been saying for a long time, that the relationship was fake. And this just got the fans going crazy. A lot of fans were saying, no, there's no way that this is true. When you really read over the document, I would say it looks like a ChatGPT created document. Like, it looks kind of realistic, but I also feel with these two, you can't write all this out. You can't, if this was in fact a fake relationship, you cannot type all this out. You cannot be sending this out. This has to be in a room with publicists sitting down and deciding what the hell they're going to say. And listen, it's not like a big shock to the world that there's been a lot of fake relationships over time. They work really well for celebrities, for PR, for press, for promotion, for movies. It's actually interesting because the head of the agency that represents Travis Kelce, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but he's actually talked to as Jack Katsuyan, I think is how you say his name. He's represented a lot of pretty famous people over time. But he's even talked in the past that it is normal to have a showmance, to have a fake relationship where you get a really famous actor and maybe a lesser known actress, and you have them date. And suddenly overnight, this actress is everyone knows her name, and it works. It's happened a billion times. I mean, look at Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. I'm not saying the relationship was fake, but it was definitely a setup relationship. And I mean, that there's a child out of it, so I can't say it's a fake relationship, but I would say that it was a manufactured, and it worked for everyone involved. And Katie Holmes really became a household name overnight, even though she was already super famous from Dawson's Creek. We've seen this happen with other people where they start dating, and next thing you know, everyone's talking about them. And so it wouldn't be surprising. And I think even Taylor Swift herself has had numerous showmances with Harry Styles. I know Tom Hiddleston was a big one where people were pointing to as being fake. For some reason with Travis Kelce, this one is the first time that it doesn't seem fake. Like, you get the shots of them hanging out, kissing on a balcony, or doing a romantic date night in Italy. To me, that doesn't scream fake relationship, because they're being caught on other sides of the world doing romantic coupley things. When it's a fake PR relationship, they're walking through Central Park holding hands. They're going to a red carpet places where they know they're going to get photographed, so that people will be like, oh, look, they're together. When they're, at their villa in Italy, having a romantic date night with candles, to me, nothing seems fake about it. It just seems like they got caught having a cute romantic night and that they probably didn't want the world to know about. So I don't think this paperwork is real at all. His PR company has come out and said, absolutely, there's no truth to this. I think people are more still on that train of it being fake. And so they're putting out fake stuff just to get people to talk. And it's got to be really annoying being Travis and Taylor and constantly having to defend your relationship over and over and over again. But it also comes around the territory. You're the most famous couple on the planet. People are going to want to talk about you. People are going to come up with dumb fake stories because it gets press. And that's just the reality of being so famous, that people do dumb shit and talk about dumb stuff. And it is what it is. So, all you Swifties out there, I think, can breathe a sigh of relief. It's funny because this comes on the heels of 2 weeks ago, there were rumors swirling that he had proposed to her. And now it's, oh no, it's all totally fake. And let's just give them some space. Let's let them get engaged because I love them together. Anyway, so he's got a NFL started up last night with the Chiefs, and so I think we'll start seeing a lot more of her at games again, and I like it. I like seeing her at games. I like seeing them together. It's enjoyable for me. Anyway, I hope it's enjoyable for a lot of you guys. All right, that is our Raw Rundown. That is our top 10 stories of the week. Hopefully we got you guys caught up so you go into the weekend knowing all the big stories, feeling a little more informed. Make sure you are joining our private Facebook group called Off the Record. I saw a lot of people posting in there. They saw our stories floating around on Brooke Mueller. Any kind of feedback, whether you think I did a horrible job hosting this by myself, I don't care. But you can obviously come and write it in the private Facebook group so that it never happens again. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. You can follow me at Dax Holt. You can follow Adam at Adam Glyn. He will be back next week. And we'll get to everything, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Red Coral. Please, we've said this a number of times, go to Red Coral, support us there. If you want to watch the video version, go to Red Coral. YouTube is great. Red Coral gives us better splits when people watch our stuff. So there's a big benefit to us personally, and we don't ask for money any other way. So that would be nice. If you need to find out how to get there, go to HollywoodRaw.com, and the top link will send you right to our Red Coral page. And it's got all the other links for any other social media platforms you want to check us out on. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. Thank you for being a part of the Hollywood Raw fam. And we will talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.
Guys, hope you liked that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best thing you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.